Hey everybody, this is Remy Ortiz here with my 24-hour impressions on the new HTC One M9. This is HTC's latest flagship here for 2015, and I want to go over a little bit of what the specs are on this phone once again before we go ahead and dive into it. So inside we have a Snapdragon 810 octa-core processor that's 4 cores running at 1.5 gigahertz and 4 cores running at 2 gigahertz. That's mated to 3 gigabytes of LPDDR4 RAM, as well as the Adreno 430 GPU for fantastic gaming graphics. Powering all of that is a 2,840 milliamp hour battery. And mated to all of that are these lovely boom sound speakers, which HTC is definitely known for these days. A 20 megapixel rear firing camera with True Tone LED flash, and a 4 megapixel ultra pixel camera for those lovely selfies. The back camera is capable of 4K recording, and the front facing camera is capable of recording 1080p. On the front here you have a 5-inch Full HD display powered by SLCD3 or Super LCD3 technology, so you have really good visibility in both day and nighttime as well as dark situations, so you get a good balance for everything. And here we have Android Lollipop version 5.0.2. Made it to HTC Sense 7. So here we go. There's your 5.0.2. There's your Sense 7. Now, of course, this is also a T-Mobile variant, but as you can see from the back, there's no tramp stamp. Thank God for HTC and T-Mobile not having a tramp stamp. A little bit of an interesting note: the HTC used to be embossed on the HTC One M9, and it's not anymore, which, you know, is fine. It's a cool little aesthetic change. But diving right into the software here, we have Blink Feed, of course, to the far left, and then here are all of your home screens. You can add up to 5 more on top of Blink Feed. Your app tray is going to be a vertical scroller, as you can see here. As you can see, I took some time in order to get all of my apps on here. Personally, you can also set up exactly what you want to read, whether you want the Blink Feed to answer or listen to your Instagram, your Facebook, your Google Plus, Twitter. I chose not to. I just have all my tech stuff, since that's essentially my favorite thing to really do. When you have Blink Feed set as your home screen, you'll have the clock or the weather showing up here. Otherwise, if you set a different screen as your home screen, the clock ends up disappearing from your Blink Feed here. All I have to do is just pinch to zoom, drag and drop to set for home, and that's what I'm going to do again over here for Blink Feed. Blink Feed is disableable, or able to be disabled, I should say. Now, a couple of things with Sense 7 is that you guys have probably seen like a My Sense widget right here that shows all of your different apps and folders and things that HTC assumes you would use for work, home, and being out. I got rid of that because I was so used to Sense 6, so I just have it just the way I have it. I did not change any themes here. I have not been able to play with the theme engine. Again, this is just my first 24-hour impressions. Just a little note here: the initial boot up for when you take it out of the box and decide to go for it takes just under a minute, about 50 seconds, 52 seconds for total initial boot time, which is all good. And if you guys saw there, I am going to the New York International Auto Show, and I also have reminders for all my bills, which is also sort of useful. But a couple of notes I want to talk about here in the first 24 hours. First thing is the heat. Everyone's been talking about how hot the phone runs, and how the Snapdragon doesn't handle well with heat and how it just overheats. That is true almost of any phone. Even the Snapdragon 801 had that issue in the HTC One M8, but in the M9 it's actually pretty much fine. The heat only came about when it was under heavy load, syncing, first booting up the phone, setting up all of your accounts. Sucker ran hot, not uncomfortably so. And I'm talking from experience on the HTC One M7, which the Snapdragon 600 in that phone ran blisteringly hot. And that was so hot, sometimes you couldn't even hold on to it for long. I actually had to let it sit and cool down. This, on the other hand, either it's because of the aluminum or because of the heat management now built within 7 of the Snapdragon 810. There's little issue now, and I can actually hold it while it's getting hot. And again, that's through benchmarking, that's through setting up all of your accounts, having HTC pull down. Well, I used LTE since I don't have Wi-Fi here at home. Yes, a tech reviewer that doesn't have Wi-Fi. Go figure. Anyway, so you have the heat issue is not really that big these days, thankfully. And this is even before the initial store release. April 10th is when this phone should be due out in stores from all 4 of the major carriers, maybe even a couple of regional ones, you know, the bigger ones like US Cellular. So maybe when that is out, maybe they'll have even better heat management and an over-the-air update or something like that. Initial thoughts on the camera. The camera itself is actually pretty good. I like the setup of it. I like the way that all the menu systems are. I mean, then again, I am coming from an HTC One M9, but I do enjoy what I see here for the most part. It's just that some of the pictures, when you take them from the back camera, just for some reason just aren't sharp, and I don't understand why. It really gets to me as to why they're not sharp. It just boggles the mind, to be honest with you. I mean, it's a 20 megapixel sensor, but the pictures just aren't coming out completely and utterly sharp as they should, and it's really not fair that you have such a powerful camera and HTC just doesn't take advantage of it with the proper software. And I even did my own customizations on the phone. So if I go into the settings here and go into image adjustments, you saw custom. I have the sharpness turned all the way up, and the images just still aren't that sharp, and I don't get why. I really don't. But the front-facing camera takes fantastic images. The video comes out great. I saw a 1080p front-facing camera video done by Android Central. If you guys want to go check that out, the video was choppier than anything. The sound was good, even though it wasn't in sync. The white balance, the color saturation, everything was on point, but the frame rate was just all over the place, and I really don't understand as to why that happened with their demo unit. But then again, it might be the fact that it is a demo unit, and this one is actually a retail model here. A lot of people, you guys are probably wondering, what is the battery life like? I haven't had the chance to really test out the battery life. I wanted to, but the issue came up where I kept on syncing stuff. I still have more and more stuff to sync, to be honest with you. But really, to be honest, expect 8 hours or more of battery life from 100%. I use a Qualcomm quick charger that I have from HTC in order to get some extra juice real quick. Which, of course, with the Snapdragon 801 and above, charges the phone very, very quickly. The audio from the boom sound speakers, is it louder? I want to say it's maybe a decibel or 2 quieter, and I actually compared it to the iPhone 6 just today to see exactly how it compares, and it is just a little quieter in some instances and a little louder, but it's a ton more detailed and in-depth. I mean, there was actually a point where we put the phones in a cup at work because we had the time to, in a plastic cup, and cup with the HTC One M9 had a lot more vibration to it, as in the speakers were doing a lot more movement and a lot more sound was being generated at all of the different frequencies. As for the iPhone, it was still pretty loud, but it just didn't deliver the type of clarity and detail that you'll get from these speakers. A weird little note here, if we go into Snapchat on the HTC One M9, and I'm just going to go ahead and take a little selfie of the camera here. I pop up a little thing. Alright, it seems as though it's working now, but I did ditch the HTC stock keyboard, not because it's a bad keyboard. It is a good keyboard. It has been improved since Sense 6, but I just prefer SwiftKey. I've used SwiftKey for years and years and years, almost ever since it really came out, when it was originally mentioned to me by another tech reviewer, which their name and who they are kind of escapes me right now. But I thought maybe I would touch into that, but apparently it's not an issue anymore. Just make sure to set on any custom keyboard your vibration link to be, usually on other phones it's 20 to 25 milliseconds. Set it closer to 30 and 33, 35 milliseconds to really get that vibration to show, because the vibrator, it's not that it's weak, there's a lot of stuff to go through here. I think there's more and thicker aluminum, there's a thicker housing that you have to deal with compared to the One M9, the One M8. So there is that thing. Like I said, I didn't go through any theming, but I didn't go through any serious picture taking. But when I did take a couple of shots, it kind of perturbed me as to why it's just not very sharp. And I'm going to do a full, 1 week and 1 month overview on the phone, to give you day to day, what's battery life like, and so on and so forth. And I'm also going to shoot my Nikon D5300 alongside this to see if the pictures that I see on the phone that come from the phone versus the camera, and see how they stack up against each other. If it's something with the screen and the way HTC itself processes the pictures, or Android processes the picture so it doesn't look super sharp but everything looks sharp on a screen, then you can go ahead and forget about it. Anything that anyone says about the camera not being great, it's all about really composure, white balance, saturation, and so on. But if it really is an issue that they have a 20 megapixel sensor here and it doesn't really capture 100%, then there's a huge issue here that I hope they fix with a camera update, because they have the hardware, it's just the software that they need to read. A little note on the camera, just so you know, out of the box it comes as a 16:9 full screen camera, but the issue is that it's not technically 20 megapixels right out of the box. If I go to crop wide here, and I go ahead, I go to crop wide, I go back into settings, and I go over to resolution large, do the math. 5,376 times 3,024. That equals to about 16 million, which means that's a 16 megapixel shot right there. What you want to do for the full 20 megapixels, just like I believe on the Sony Xperia Z line, you have to change that crop from the 16:9 to 10:7 or 4:3 or whatever the shorter one is. Now if we go back into settings and we go to the resolution large, do the math. 5,376 times 3,752. That's a 20 megapixel shot. I just wish HTC actually said, this is your resolution and it's 20 megapixels. This is your resolution and that's 10 megapixels. This is your resolution and that's that many megapixels. Instead of giving you just straight numbers and so on. Maybe they'll fix that in a camera update. Who really knows? But just a couple of notes for you to take note of, to be honest with you, and hopefully you guys can make your own sort of decisions from there. But again, this is Remy Ortiz with the HTC One M9, and this has been my first 24 hours with this lovely piece of Android technology.